What's up, guys? Welcome back to Strength 101. Today, I am here with, who are you?
I'm Matraca.
Matraca
Conroe. Carol.
Carol Conroe.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you. I have to know a lot about you because today we're going to dive in deep and we're going to find out who the heck you are. I've got a mixture of questions that I have written and then some from our members because they have a lot of questions about you. You know, they see you dancing around the gym, motivating them, like, you know, inspiring them or maybe just being weird. And they just want to know, like, how the heck did she end up this way?
Fair enough.
So we're going to dig in. And there's just no better way to do it than start with rapid fire. So on this first part, I just want you to answer as fast as you can and not overthink it.
Okay.
It's going to be tough, but okay. So these are all going to be fitness related. So you can kind of like get in the mode, all right?
Okay.
Family Feud style. Are you ready?
I've never watched Family Feud, but let's
Okay,
go.
all right. First, all right, who's the host of Family Feud? I'm just kidding. Okay.
It's like
Nice.
me today.
Yeah.
Actually, you.
Okay.
Anyways.
All right, how many calories do you eat a day, approximately?
Well, currently 1,400.
1,400. How much protein a day?
140 grams.
Your favorite lift?
Squats. No, deadlifts. I hate squats. It's deadlifts.
Least favorite lift?
Squats.
Oh, okay, there you go. Favorite low-calorie food?
Rice cakes.
Favorite high-calorie food?
Oh, God. Spaghetti.
Muscle you most want to grow?
My arms.
Your arms, all right. Favorite muscle on other women?
Abs.
Favorite muscle on men?
Arms.
Bulk or cut?
Bulk.
Bulk. Which is funny for context. She's in a cut right now and she's hating her life. So, and when you bulk strong.
Yes. I like to eat, man.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Cool. I feel like I knew most of those. But that gives somebody an overview on kind of who you are, right? But I really want people, especially those that don't know you, to know more about you and give them a foundation that we can set like all these other questions off of. So
Sure.
We're going to try something I used to do. I used to do it every several years, and it would be like I'd sit down with somebody and I would set a timer for 3 minutes and tell them my life story. And what's interesting about this is I found that like when I did this when I was 24, my life story and like the highlights of it were very different than when I was 27 or 30. I think it kind of goes along with what's important to you now. So don't overthink it, but we're going to set a 3-minute timer.
Okay.
And because of the constraint, you're going to have to stick to the things that are important about from birth until now. What is Matraca Carol, right?
Yeah.
Carol
right.
Conroe's full life story. Let me find my timer.
Ooh.
Give you a little bit of time to think and structure that. Are you
My
ready?
hands are sweating. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, hit us.
Okay, so as we know, my name's Matraca. I am ironically an only child, which I feel like you would not guess with how talkative I am. I grew up in Rice, Minnesota, just my parents and I. We had a cat named Tabby. She was baller. I don't know. I have family, so my dad's from Nebraska, so I have family in Nebraska. That was my favorite place to go as a kid, and it actually still is to this day. People judge me for it, but it's fine. Nebraska is like a huge place in my heart. I would love to live there if I had the chance. So growing up, I was very close with my mom's side and my dad's side. Close with my cousins as they were like siblings that I never had. I loved being an only child. I'm very close to my parents to this day, I think because of it. Growing up, I was very much a tomboy. Maybe you can see that, maybe you can't, I don't know. But I always wanted to be like fast, and I loved running. That was like my favorite thing forever, like sprinting, not long distance, don't get it twisted. But I loved sprinting, so like in elementary school, I was the fastest kid in school because I remember I beat Ethan Bankston. If he ever watches this, I beat him in a race in 5th grade, and I was the fastest kid in school. And we said it was because of my Nike Shox.
Of course.
So I was a shoe kid from then on till now. But so anyways, I loved sprinting. So once I got through like middle school and high school, that was my big thing was I loved running. I really wasn't into lifting or anything. So like I just kind of, as I went through school, I loved, I was friends with like everyone. I liked being in different groups of people and like just knowing everyone. And I was never really part of like the drama. But anyways, I went to college in River Falls. I ran track. That's really why I chose there. I wanted to go to Nebraska because I said I loved it so much, but I realized it was really expensive. And last minute I chose River Falls. Came here for track. Still at that point, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to run. Now that I'm here, ooh, he's giving me the timer.
Yep.
I don't know what else is
You got
exciting.
50 seconds. So you went to River Falls, and then from there till now.
Yeah, there till now. I don't know what else is exciting about me. What else from now? Okay, so then I decided to stick around River Falls. I knew I didn't want to go back to like the St. Cloud area. And I went through like trying out jobs with nutrition, and then I found Strength Academy now that I'm here in River Falls. I live with my boyfriend now. I didn't even highlight him. Sorry, Wes. Oh my gosh. I met Wes in like college, and we've been dating now for almost 4 years. So I can tell him guess more about myself. So sorry, Wes. But yeah, I don't know. That's what else was highlighted about me. That's it. There you go. 5 seconds.
Boom.
Early.
Nice. You finished early. Excellent.
I don't know. I'm not that
Isn't that hard,
interesting.
though?
Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
hard.
it's
I'm
like-
I don't know.
Yeah, you start and then you start thinking about like, oh my God, what didn't I mention that was
Yeah,
important?
yeah.
But yeah,
Poor Wes.
you either go like way too fast or you go really slow, and then you like cut off half your
off.
life into
Yeah.
like in 15 seconds.
Well, there you go. If you want to know more, ask later. Okay.
Yeah. No, that was great though. What did you? So I got some questions based off of that. You said you loved being an only child. Why?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I was always around my parents. Like I never went to daycare or anything because my mom worked nights actually at that time, and then my dad worked days, and now it's completely flipped because he works nights and she works days. But so
So you were like with one parent at a time always?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and it was great. And I don't know because I never knew anything different. Like, and I was very close with my cousins. And then when I started getting older and realized that other people had like siblings, I was like, oh, like I wonder what that's like.
Yeah.
So
Did you ever wish?
Oh yeah, all the time. Like I always, my dream was to have an older brother, which is completely impossible, but that's always
Sure.
what I wanted. But yeah, I for some reason that's what I always wanted. But as I grew older, I learned to love it more. But for like there was a time period I remember I like was like, dang, like what am I missing out on? You know?
What is it that people, I don't know, assume about you being an only child?
Oh, that I'm like selfish and that I get everything I want and that I'm like a snob. Like,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Are you?
No.
Okay.
My parents did a very good job at not letting me be any of that, honestly. And like I would never want to be anyways, because I have some friends that are, well, not currently, I guess, but like past friends that were, and they totally fit that bill.
Sure.
But so I guess I was never part of that stereotype, even though I never realized what it was till I got older.
Yeah.
So-
So who was the person that was closest to you that would have been like the closest to a sibling? You said you were close with your cousins.
Yeah, my cousins. So I have cousins that lived in St. Cloud with me there. So I have some that in Kansas and then some that are in St. Cloud. And they are like one's 5 years older, one's 4 years older, and then one's like 2 years younger than me. So I was really close with them. It was the older ones were girls and the younger one was a boy. And I was close with them all growing up. We'd always hang out, have sleepovers, whatever. They
Yeah.
were like my older sisters and younger brother.
Did you get along better with girls or boys growing up?
Boys, for sure.
Yeah. Hence the tomboy thing.
Yeah.
So what you said that what is it that made you a tomboy?
I don't, I guess like,
Like what did you do that you kind of put yourself in that category?
I would say like my favorite
You
thing.
didn't have like a princess phase?
Never.
Like my daughter
I-
right now is everything princess. And
Never.
You never?
Nope. I never watched any Disney princess movies. I never have. I've only
Really?
watched. Yeah.
Wait, why? You didn't like them or your parents didn't?
I didn't like
Show 'em
them. I
to
don't
you.
think. I never could sit down and sit still. You guys
Oh,
know
fair.
that to this day. But I was just like that when I was a kid. But what I would watch was like Bob the Builder. Cars was my
Okay.
favorite movie.
Yeah.
Like I remember I wore like Cars like boxers and
Who was
like
your
Cars
favorite
shoes.
character in Cars?
Who do you think?
I don't know.
Lightning
I don't know
McQueen,
You. Oh, well,
'cause he was
You're a
fast.
tomboy. I thought you might like Tow Maida.
Well, Tow Maida was my second favorite, but
Yeah.
I always wanted to be Lightning McQueen. Like I remember, I'd be like, what does he say? Faster than fast, quicker than quick. I'm lightning, or something like that. He'd say.
Sure.
That came back to me.
Ka-chow or something
Yeah,
like
ka-chow.
that. Chicka-chicka.
Yeah.
Whatever
so,
it is.
Anyways.
Yeah. Well, and I know you're a tomboy because I feel like you've fixed several people's cars and given them advice on their car problems
Well, that's
where'd you
something
learn
I didn't
that?
even bring that up.
from Cars.
Yeah, exactly, from Cars. No, so like I guess growing up, like my dad isn't like the usual like hunter fisher. Like I've never been hunting. I've been fishing like 3 times. My grandpa liked to fish, but he was a car guy. Like he's stupid intelligent with cars. Like I've never met anyone as intelligent as he is with it. So like I've just picked up stuff from him. Do I wish I would have listened a lot more when I was younger of things he'd tell me? Yeah,
Sure.
because his brain works so different. Like the things he can do, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So
I feel like car stuff is almost like another language. It's like if you
Yes.
learn it when you're younger, then you understand it. Now, because I did the same thing. I never listened to my dad, even though he tried to teach me about car stuff and he always worked on ours. And now I have no interest in it. It seems like learning a foreign language. Like
Yeah.
I'm too old for that.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
hired the
No, it is.
mechanic.
I feel like you need to
Yeah.
know when you're. Yeah, I agree. Because I I've told you, I think in a earlier podcast, that I wanted to be a mechanic when I was younger, because I thought
Yeah.
I would follow him everywhere. Like he gave me a little toolbox as a kid, and as he'd be working on stuff, I'd like go over and like act like I'm working on stuff,
Yeah.
not like I was.
Now, could you do that?
No.
Yeah.
It would be cool, but I don't think I could handle it. No.
Sure.
I'd probably kill myself on accident.
So you're a shoe person.
Oh, I didn't even bring that up.
You did.
Well, no, I mean,
I noted it.
I didn't bring up why I worked at Foot Locker for like 4 years throughout high school into college.
Okay.
And
Is that
that's
when it started, or were you into shoes before that?
I was into shoes before that, but it really ramped up then, because like that's why I had such an interest. Because I remember when I turned 16, Lady Foot Locker just dropped their age from 18 to 16 that you could be able to work there. So I applied there
psyched.
instantly. Yeah.
Okay.
Because in order to drive, I had to fill up gas, and how did I fill up gas? I had to pay for it. So my parents got me a car, but I had to pay for the gas. So I had to get a job. So I applied there and I got hired, and it was literally the best job ever as a 16-year-old.
Yeah. So my mom is a shoe person, right?
Okay.
But my mom, I think, likely a very different shoe person than you. She has just tons and tons and tons of shoes, like just closets full of them. But most of them are like heels, very like traditional female shoes.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, with your shoe affliction,
Yeah.
is it sneakers? Do you have a bunch of heels too? Obviously, I only see you at the gym, so I don't know.
It's
Is it everything?
90% sneakers for sure.
Okay, so you're a sneakerhead.
I do have a couple. Yes, my TikTok sneakerhead Matt, if you wanted to know. But I do have a section of heels. Actually, I never wear them, but like I have that stuff just in case if I need them for one weird day that has never came yet. But
Yeah. Oh, okay, how about this? Try to explain to me why shoes are so interesting and cool. Because I'm not a shoe person.
Yeah.
At any given time, I'm max. Like my shoe collection maxes out at 3. It's like maybe one pair that I'm supposed to not get dirty I use in the gym, one pair that I can get dirty and use in the gym, and then another ones that were the previous one that now are yard shoes.
Sure.
That's it.
You're practical.
Yes.
With your shoes.
Yes.
You wear them till they like
they
run
protect
out.
my feet.
Yeah. I even would put that in the category. It's like another language, or like it's just a style that I've always like loved. Like I feel like when I look at people, like I look at their shoes first.
Was there like
Always been that way.
what was it? Was there a moment that you were just like, I love shoes? Like,
I mean, growing up, honestly, shout out, but like my parents had pretty good shoe game. So I feel like as I got older, I kind of was like, oh, you guys like the cool shoes. Like my mom wore the Shox. My dad had really cool Air Maxes, whatever. And he had like LeBrons and Currys, like, and
really? Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And so I was like,
It runs in
dang,
the family.
you guys know what's going on. So then I just had like a appreciation for people who like had nice shoes and kept their shoes nice. And then as I got in more of the culture, like I liked Jordans and like all of the cool, like Nike's for sure my number one favorite. Nike and Jordan are the same thing. Don't come at me for it because they are. So they're the same brand. But anyways, it's a huge thing.
I believe you.
It's
yeah.
it's a whole controversy.
Speaking a different language right now.
But
what's your favorite pair of shoes then? What's the best pair of shoes?
Well,
both. What's the best pair of shoes? Maybe you don't own them.
Yeah.
And then what's your best pair of shoes?
Yeah, the best pair of shoes that I wish I had is like Jordan 1s. So like they're the high top ones.
Okay.
Any colorway I love. There's like one called Shattered Backboard, and it's like a orange and black, and orange is my favorite color. So like they're super sick. They're kind of like a Halloween
This is
shoe.
when we need like the person that I'm like, hey, pull that up, like Joe Rogan does.
Yeah, to show it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can look it up and you'll see it. But that's probably one of my favorites. Otherwise, they have like UNC ones when Michael Jordan played for Carolina.
Yeah.
Like then
Do you like
a
Jordans
color.
because you were a fan of Jordan, or just because like it's like the fashionable shoe?
I think it's the fashionable shoe. Like I didn't really know much about Jordan until. I mean, like I did know about him. Everyone knows him, but I mean, I didn't know about his like
it wasn't
story.
your age range.
Yeah. I was a little late on that mojo. But when The Last Dance came out, I didn't realize like how like. I don't know. That's what I learned more about him, I guess.
Sure.
But I already liked his shoes beforehand. Like, I have the Space Jam Jordan 11s. If you don't know what those are, you should know because it's in the movie Space Jam. And I just saw that movie, so it made sense, I never
just
saw
now
the movie.
saw it?
Yeah. I never saw the movie, but I wanted the shoes because I knew they were, like, iconic.
Me and Quinn have been watching that movie. It's awesome.
It's a good movie.
Love that movie.
Mm-hmm. Shout out Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
But,
what is
yeah.
the best pair of shoes that you own?
Actually, it's either the Space Jam Jordan 11s, I have to pick two, or I love Kendrick Lamar, and he had a collab with Nike. They're like Metcon Freeze. Or not Metcon Freeze. I actually don't even remember what they are at the moment. Holy
I felt
cow.
so cool for a second because I'm literally
You're
wearing
Metcon.
Metcon Freeze
I
right
know,
now. I'm
I'm
like, oh my
thinking
God,
Metcon.
yes,
It's
I'm
not Metcon.
fashionable.
They're like a free, I can't think of, it starts with an M, but whatever. Anyways, the shoe is like one side, it looks like, they both look like there's lightning bolts coming down both sides, but one side's like white and one side's like a darker gray. And the like Nike sign's like translucent. And they're really cool because like they were more of a runner. And no, like anybody that's done collabs with Nike has never made like a runner shoe.
Sure.
And since I like to run, like I wanted the runner version versus like the streetwear one.
Would you run in them though?
No.
If they're that cool? Okay. Well,
Because I want to keep them good, you
see,
know?
that doesn't make any sense to me. I get like avoiding the puddle maybe. But
Yeah, I'd avoid the puddle. I would avoid it. But yeah, so that's probably my favorite ones.
I remember there was a guy who was like a shoe head, or what do you call him?
Sneakerhead.
Yeah. I wanted to say pedophile, but that's the wrong term. What do they call that? There's another term for it.
No.
Whatever. We're going to look that up. Okay, maybe we cut that part out.
know what you're talking
But no, it's like a name for like somebody who's a shoe head, but it's like, whatever. I'll look it up. So anyways, back to this guy. His name was Jordan, or no, his name was whatever, Scott.
Okay.
So he had some fresh Jordans or whatever, and the teacher gave him the option of either doing 10 push-ups or getting detention. And he didn't want to crease his sneakers, so he took detention.
I was going to say, but he didn't want to crease them.
Yeah,
He's a smart
so
man.
see, that makes sense
Yeah.
to you. Okay. Yeah, okay.
He's a smart guy. I would have
But
done the same
I was
thing.
never in detention, so,
Yeah.
different priorities. Awesome. So one thing you didn't mention in your bio was, maybe you did, that you worked at Aldi.
Oh my God, I did not even mention that.
But
yeah.
the reason I have a question about this is for the first year, I'd say, that you worked at Strength Academy, almost every single person, not every single person, but it was shocking to me how many people a week that when they came in and they didn't know you, you'd be like, I know you from Aldi.
Yeah.
So like, because you worked as a cashier, right?
Yes, I did. I forgot.
And
that
it was
a good
shocking to
part of
me
my life.
because, yes, when I go to the grocery store, if I go frequently enough, I might recognize the people, but I don't necessarily carry on full conversations with them.
Sure.
And all these people remembered you and also like held you in high regard, like the best cashier they had ever had.
Yeah.
And so my question is, why is it that in even a position like that, so many people remember you and you have such a, like, I don't know, you clearly have an imprint on people when you're probably having a 3-minute interaction with them?
Yeah.
Why? What is it about you, Matraca?
Well, this is like a whole good story. I'm glad you actually brought it up, and I forgot about it. I don't know. I love talking to people. I love making people feel good, and I love I think about, especially when I was in that position, like a lot of times that's like the only time that some people might get an interaction throughout that whole day, or maybe they're having the worst day of their life, and like you could at least just like make their day better by simply asking how they're doing. Maybe I recognized them from last weekend, and I knew they had plans with their kids to go. They had a hockey tournament. I don't know, anything. I have always had like a good memory with either names or just like faces of people, and like I can always like kind of recall like, oh, they had this going on or whatever. I don't know how. So there's a lot of things I don't remember, but that's more natural to me. Yeah, like I've always been a people person, and I've always wanted to make an impact in some way. So specifically at that job, you were supposed to get them in and out. Like if you've been to Aldi, you know that they throw your shit in the cart and they get you gone. Yep. I actually got talked to about it because I took too long. They said that my timing's too slow. You need to quit talking to people. And I remember I'm like, no. I'm like, this is customer service. Like you want to give people like a good interaction, and like a good imprint of what you're saying. Like there were so many people that I worked with. I loved all of my coworkers there dearly, but some of them would, fight to be fast because that was the job. But people did not like going through their line because they'd throw their shit in the cart and push them away because that's what you're supposed to do.
It does feel very rushed there sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, the people who are probably good at their job from management perspective,
Yes.
I always feel like I'm getting shoved out of there.
Yes, and I remember they literally sat me down and had a talk with me about it. And I was like, this is customer service. Like, I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. If you don't want me here, like, I won't. So then they were like, okay, well, just, like, keep it. Just do what you're doing, you know? And then I ended up getting, like, a customer service award for it.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, and then, like, there was a woman that was in town that wrote a huge Facebook post about me.
That's awesome.
Like, about, like, just me, like, taking the time to, like, get to know people and everything. Like, it was a big thing. So, like, they never talked to me about it again. And I think they might have changed their mindset just a teensy bit about it because it's just, there's so much more than, like, how quick you can get people out. Sure, some people do want to get in and out, and that's fine. But, like, I don't know. I had such a deeper part. Like, I did actually like customer service because you get to make connections with people. You get to talk to people. Whatever, if you're having a bad day, you go in there and you show up for other people. And then, like, it honestly makes you feel better a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So
that mentality that you mentioned about that, this might be the 5 minutes of their day that you get to make great or good or happier. Was that something that you How did you develop that mentality? Because that's a really tough level of awareness to keep, especially if you have your own crap going on,
Oh,
or
for
let's say
sure.
you get 10 people in a row that were grumpy and didn't want to talk to you.
Yes.
You could easily just, go into default mode and just do your job,
Yep.
right? So, yeah, how'd you get there?
Um,
Because how old were you when you were doing that job?
19 or 20.
Yeah, and I think
then
that's
to,
even
like,
a more
23.
difficult type of awareness and perspective for somebody who's young. So where does
Yeah.
that come from?
I would say, so growing up, like my parents have had like amazing work ethic. Like they've both been at their jobs for like 25 years. Like they're very work driven, which I appreciate for, but sometimes I think it might be a little too much. Sorry guys. But like what, I guess in that way it's gotten me to think of like your job's your job, you turn it on. And like, but besides that, I've just always been a happy person. I honestly could not tell you back to why or when. Like I've just, I've just always been happy. Like I grew up happy. Like I've been so great with my parents, like close. Like I had a great childhood. I've just been always happy,
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know if I must have been just born that way, but like it's just continued on, and like that's just how I've been, and that's how I hope to always be.
Is it harder to be that level of optimism all the time as you get older, or have you found it to be pretty natural the whole way?
I think it's pretty natural. I do have more moments now that I'm older, because obviously as you get older, there's a lot of different responsibilities and like shit thrown at you. But like besides that, like it's pretty natural otherwise, I'd say. Like I don't wake up and I'm like, "Argh." Like I'm just wake up and I'm like, cool, let's hit it.
Yeah. I'd be interested. It'll be interesting to like potentially ask you that question again in like 10 years or 20 years.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen this inverted U, or it's a U-shaped curve of happiness over the
You
course of
showed me
life?
this,
I think.
yes.
Yeah. So basically, for those of you that are listening, there's like this U-shaped curve of happiness, and so you're like happiest. This is like sociological studies over the course of a lifetime across cultures. It's supposed to be. So you're like happiest at 5 years old or something like that, and then slowly your happiness decreases, and then it kind of peaks out at the bottom between the ages of like 30 to 50-ish. Makes sense. I think that's when your responsibilities are your greatest. You usually have a family, kids, a career. Like your life is about work and maybe not necessarily about enjoying it or about yourself.
Yeah.
And then it slowly increases at about when kids start to leave the home, you retire, and then you're happiest again since you were 5 when you're 70. And so it'd be interesting for me to know, with somebody who is naturally optimistic like you, whether you experience that same type of dip but maybe blunted, or whether that's a superpower and you're more impervious to it.
Sure.
Yeah,
well, I'd be curious too. We'll see what future Matraca has to say.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll have to schedule it. So some of these questions come from members, and they're amazing questions. Somebody wanted to know, Heather actually wanted to know, what was a pivotal moment in your fitness journey? So how about let's start with what was the moment, because I think we all start and stop fitness. It's not like somebody just at the age of 15 just starts training and never looks back. Like usually we're introduced to it through sports or something. But what was the moment that was kind of the click over for you where you just started for the last time and never stopped?
That's a great question.
Because how old are you right now?
25.
25. Okay.
So I would say, and like this sounds so corny, but it's not corny because it's real. Like Strength Academy really is what got me in it. Because when I started,
we did not plan this out.
No, we
did
didn't.
not plan that
No,
answer.
but like Strength Academy was a pivotal, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
pivotal.
I can't speak. Pivotal
I got you.
moment for me, because it was actually the most. I can truthfully say the most challenging thing I've put myself through, besides like college, I guess, of moving away and stuff. But point is I was uncomfortable. I did not like being in front of people. I was not confident, and like I dreaded coming to work at the beginning because I just could not get it down, and it was something that did not come natural to me at all, and it was not easy. And I could have easily turned away. I wanted to so many times, and then I was finally like, no, like you need to stay uncomfortable to get comfortable with this. And I'm so glad I did, because that's really what changed for me, especially because I learned what I was actually capable of. Like I was capable of so much more than I was letting myself be capable of. And 2, I couldn't believe how much I loved lifting, like, and how much I loved teaching others to lift. So I'd say for myself, like it was just a great point to put me in an uncomfortable situation to realize again what I was capable of, because I've never been strong, and I've never been like, any of that. Like, and honestly, I wasn't always mentally strong either. So it helped me physically and mentally to push through that, and it got me to learn of how much I loved fitness.
That's interesting, because if I'm summarizing what you're saying, it's almost like the challenge of the teaching and public speaking and that whole thing, which you're very good at now. I mean, your profession is talking and teaching in front of others now.
Yes.
Which when you first started, people still don't believe how timid you really were when you first started at the gym, and it's like I don't think anybody really will believe it unless they actually saw it.
Yes. Yeah.
But it sounds like from what you said that process of realizing that potential also allowed you to realize your lifting potential type of thing.
For sure. Like I feel like I needed to push through that to see like, okay, what else can I do?
Yeah.
And now I feel like that I've unlocked that. I'm like, that's why I haven't wanted to stop. So I'm like, okay, what else can I do? What else can I do?
Yeah.
You know, it's like a never ending, like it's like a feeding, like you're kind of staying inside something new.
Momentum,
Like, what else?
right?
Yeah.
That's, God, and that's what I've always described the gym as for people. Is whenever my life has gotten hard, the gym is there as the one thing that no matter how crappy everything else is, barring, you know, my legs getting cut off or something and I can't lift, which I can still do upper body.
Yeah.
But barring that, the gym is like the one place you can collect little wins all the time and to build up that momentum. And I think that's what most people really need, because it does it ripples out into the rest of your life. If you can win on something, then you start to look around and say, what else can I win on? Whereas some things, if you look at them, they just look so insurmountable that you'll never even try.
Yep.
And so you have to start low, and sometimes that's just like, okay, I got better at bench press from this week to the next. Oh, I guess I'm not a piece of crap. And then you start just reeling that up, and then over the course of years, like it's amazing what you can do.
Oh, for sure.
It's just interesting that yours was the opposite in a way.
It was, yeah, because I had to just find my own confidence. Like I've always been like a confident person. I've never questioned myself, but being in a spot then where I had to question myself more, and I was like, wow, like you need to be a person of authority, and I was nowhere close to being any authority.
And I remember when you first came in, you're right, you were confident. It wasn't that you were confident to do the type of thing that we were looking to hire you to do, but you came in, you looked me right in the eyes. Obviously, you're a very good communicator. You looked me right in the eyes. You were, happy, and you like shook my hand right away. And you actually came in, after we had denied you the job over the phone, and you were like, hey, my schedule changed. I'm still interested. And you just came right into the gym.
Yeah.
Where was I going with that? But that, that confidence was always there, but just not necessarily in that context. And then it just grew into other things.
Yeah. So it's a game changer. There's you talking about just like, oh, if you had your legs cut off, whatever. I heard this quote today, and it's like been playing in my head. It was I forgot what it was. It was saying something along the lines of like, you will not be able to do this forever. Like pretty much like you won't be able to lift forever. You won't be able to run forever. Like there's a certain time in your life where it's going to get cut off of whatever it might be. You just grow old or something happens. And so it's very motivating to think like, what can you do now? And like push yourself to now, rather than laying in bed and like being lazy. Like, of course, like things happen, life hits you, whatever. But like, what can you do today, like to continue to do and appreciate? Because 80 years from now, if you look back and you're like, damn, I wish I would have taken the time to do that when I had the chance to, simply of walking and doing all that stuff. Like it's, I don't know, it's very, it's reassuring to me to be like, hey, I can do this now. Like, let's do it, because I think I'll thank myself later.
Yes, that regret framework is so massive. I hope that every single person here, like listening, uses that for the rest of their life. Because like I've told you before, that's how I ended up starting the gym. Was like, it was just like, I knew that if I never tried to own a gym, that I would regret it. And so then it gave me permission to say, it's okay to fail, because I'll just regret it if I never tried when I'm 80, and I want to minimize regret when I'm older.
For sure.
And yeah, is that something you use a lot?
No, it's been more recent. I think of hearing you talk about it so much, and like just a couple things I've seen on like Instagram and stuff, and it kind of hits me in the head. That's like, geez, like what? Like the time is like right now. Like I feel like a lot of times I'm looking in the future. And then I'm like, no, you need to like pay attention to what you're doing right now, because this is like the good part right now. Like continue on.
So what? Because I know you've mentioned that there were times that you wanted to quit at the gym when it was hard. Like, what do you think kept you from quitting?
Actually, one of my good friends, Scott, he told me specifically, I remember I was talking to him because I was in the middle of quitting my other job to come to Strength Academy full time. And I'm like, I don't know if I should do it. And I remember I texted him and I was like, what do I do? Because he's actually the one that got me. Yeah.
Okay.
He's the one that got me into fitness. Well, I shouldn't say got me in, but got me at least into the gym. He like helped me write up a program and was like, let's go. And like he would go there with me and kind of show me movements and stuff, and got me to enjoy it. Yeah. So when I got this job and all that good stuff, and I was trying to figure out what's going on and if I should continue on, he was like, try it for 90 days. He's like, if you can't, after 90 days, if you're like, hell no, then be done. And I remember I was like, I don't know, 30 days in or something, and I was like, oh, but I'm like, wait, that's a really good framework. Okay, do it. And it really made a huge, I'm so glad I listened to him. Like, so thanks, Scott. But like, seriously, like it changed my mind to think about that, because he was also someone that super optimistic and like very driven, and he's definitely someone that lives by like I'll regret this later, so let's do it now.
Sure.
Or I would regret if I didn't do it. I mean.
Yep.
So hearing from him, I'm like, oh wow.
Scotty Q, we haven't heard from you in a while. Are you off the
I
grid?
know.
We want you to come back, man. But he's off doing whatever is making him happy, and that's what's awesome about him.
So really, I'm not gonna lie, that was probably the biggest thing. Because I remember I talked to my parents, and they're like, do whatever you feel is best, and I appreciated that, and no one can tell you what to do.
Yeah, sometimes your parents don't have the best advice,
No.
right? Because they want you to be happy,
Yep,
and
they want
that's
you to do
maybe
whatever.
sometimes not what you need.
Yes, and that's when I realized to myself, I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? And then I'm like, okay, 90 days, push yourself. What can you do?
Yeah.
And here we are.
That's another amazing framework. It's just like give yourself 6 months, like especially a new job, like you said, or like I think often if you're thinking about quitting something, then you have to do that same thing. Well, I guess that's what you just said. But like when you were doing it when you were thinking about starting something, I often will do that when I'm thinking about like giving up on something. I'm like, all right, nope, you need to do it for this much longer because then you'll really know.
Yes.
Before you just make a rash. And that's just a good way to, I think, to buffer against emotional reactions to things. And I think that's what really gets most people caught up is like if they do things out of emotion, and if you can put some of those barriers in place, then you're just going to be much more successful.
Absolutely.
So speaking of, you even though you're so optimistic, there were times where obviously and I remember when you first started, you were getting down on yourself for not getting it as fast as probably you thought you should. And I was probably a little harder on you than I should have because I was so nervous. You were like one of the first coaches, and it was like I was really nervous for anybody else to coach our people. But this is another question from the member. We focus so heavily on physical fitness in the gym, but they want to know what you do to integrate mental health and emotional wellness, and whether you have things that you do for that, or if it's top of mind, or if maybe that's something that's you don't have to mess with because you are optimistic.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really great question too, honestly. I feel like I'm as I said, like I need to be around people, but I'm also I think I'm the most extroverted person I feel like ever, but at the same time, I can also be very introverted, and I think it's partially because I'm an only child that I did spend a lot of time by myself, like in my room or whatever when I needed. I'd play toys by myself or whatever, especially as I got older, I'd sit on my phone or stupid whatever. Anyways, I think what's been helpful for me is I know that I need to shut my brain off sometimes, so I just need to go sit by myself, whether it is if I just sit on my phone by myself or if I'm doing whatever, like Wes and I live together, so sometimes I do just need to go into the other room and just sit by myself for a while, and that's kind of my recharge time. I would say, truthfully, that's what is my mental clarity time and where I kind of focus on myself. So I don't get that.
And you're intentional about that?
Yes, because I finally now, as I'm older, I realize that. I used to never know that I needed that so bad until I would like crash out sometimes, be like, freak out about something or whatever, and it's like, no, I simply just need 10 minutes to myself, or it might be an hour. Like, it just depends upon what I need, because I'm so stimulated all day long. I really do need that off time.
Do you do that based off of a feeling, or do you integrate it into like every day I do this, or like how regimented is that?
It's not very regimented. I'd say it's just honestly a feeling. Like, I do know when I get to that point, and then I need to be like, okay. And I have not always been that way, because I would normally like lash out or whatever it might be. Like, I could tell, or maybe I'd break down crying. It sounds crazy, but seriously, like I would hit points where it's like, okay, Matraca, what do you need to do?
Yep.
And I think a lot of us are not super aware of that, and it's taken me a while to get aware of that. Because again, no one has that answer for you besides you. So I think it's just simply taking that time, and I need to for sure get an adequate amount of sleep. That's like another thing. If I don't get my sleep, I'm like.
So. Some people need 10 minutes of alone time. Some people need like 5 hours of alone time. Just complete. You are, I guess, as you're saying that, I've realized you're kind of like a surge extrovert. Like, it's like you're really extroverted in surges, but that's got to also like drain energy out of you, because there's a point we work out of a construction trailer right now. And so it's closed quarters, and we have a lot of extroverted people closed in one space, and it's great when we're all feeling each other. And then I can definitely see it. This happens to everybody, but it happens to you too, where it's like you hit that point where you're like, I'm done with everybody right now, and I can see you like itching because you're like, I just need to go. Like, I think yesterday you were like, I just need to go for a walk. Because you're like, I've been around too many people. I need to just go do something where clear-headed.
Yep, exactly. So it's even that, a 5-minute walk or something will just. So yeah, that would be my mental clarity there.
Yeah, just space.
Yeah.
Especially the shutting the phone thing off. I tried that last week, and I've been, very hooked on work for a long time with the business and everything, and I shut my phone off for a few hours, and the amount of times that I thought about it or wondered if there was like a text message I was missing from one of the team or something, it was unhealthy. And it really showed me. So I think if you're not sure if you really are like hooked on it, well, shut it off, and you'll actually feel the cravings then.
Yes.
Yeah, and it'll be almost embarrassingly eye-opening sometimes.
Oh, it is 110%. Or if you look at when you get the notification on Sundays of you've spent this many hours on your phone. I remember in college.
I turn that off.
Do you? I should do that.
I don't get it. I don't want to feel bad about my life.
We did it in class in college, and I remember I had the most by like 3 hours, more than everybody else.
By
in
3
class.
hours?
Yes,
Dang.
and I remember my professor was like, Matraca, you need to stop being on your phone. It was Jody.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's funny.
So, anyways, but.
Here's a quick one. What's the most unexpected song on your workout playlist that might surprise people?
Oh, that's a really good one. Well, I feel like everyone knows me as the rap girl. So honestly, one of my favorite bands ever is like AC/DC because of my dad. Shout out Daryl. But actually, besides that, I love The Stroke by Billy Squier. Is that how you say his name? It's like everybody.
That's like before me. You have this weird thing where like you have a gap of like my generation and you got your dad's generation
Stroke's
now.
the word.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Sing the rest of it. Go ahead.
I don't know the rest of it, but it gets me hyped up. But yeah, you're right. So anyways, that one I would say.
That's all right. That is a great song though.
It's a good
Fair enough. What's your most embarrassing fitness fail? Everybody has something.
Yeah.
You know.
Embarrassing.
And I think maybe you might need to broaden this because it's like, well, fitness fail, but maybe in sports or something.
I just feel like I
You just have never failed.
Well, no, I have, but I'm just
You're
trying to think
that
of how to, how to explain it. I would say, how about when I just first got into lifting? I would say like a lot of embarrassments I would say was specifically with kettlebells, honestly. I'll put it there.
Yeah.
And
didn't you throw one day?
I have thrown one.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple times. But I don't know if that's embarrassing. I mean, we all do it.
I was embarrassed for you.
Yeah. I would say like even though it's good to take like videos, but in a way it's embarrassing to look at things. Or I remember specifically when we were learning a kettlebell snatch, and I was shadowing you for a Saturday, and you were like, Matraca, show me your kettlebell snatch. And I remember I did it, and in my head I'm like, I think I did okay. And you were like, oh my God, that was really bad. And you're like,
I say that in front of the class?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was just you and I, and you were like, I'm gonna do this demo, but we're gonna have to work on that. I remember, and I was like, oh, and I remember I was like, oh my God, I'm never gonna get it down. Yeah, well, I just thought like, oh, I have it down. So then now watching videos of me doing it, which is so great, I recommend for everybody to be like taking videos of how you do things. I would say that was like quite a fail, but I've never like really dropped anything to be like, oh, it's so embarrassing. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like in track even. I guess in track once I tripped over a hurdle and I did like a somersault in the air and fell.
Yeah.
And shoe went flying. I was.
Were you on cinder tracks or rubber tracks?
Oh, we were rubber.
Oh, okay. Lucky duck.
Well, I guess a little thing about me is I think sometimes I have maybe anger issues slightly. So I remember I was so pissed when that happened. I was like, I'm done, and I never did hurdles again. So I was so mad about it. I never touched a hurdle again. I never did it.
Really?
Yeah, I never did.
That's even funnier because about 5 minutes before we turned on the cameras, you were you were telling about how angry you got.
Yes. My rice cakes got smashed last night.
Rice cakes got smashed.
And mind you, Nick said, I'm in a cut right now, so like you need to make sure you know how much you're eating. And I know how much rice cake I was eating because they're all smashed. Yeah. I do get kind of, I tweak out over the littlest things.
Passionate.
Yeah.
Passionate about your crunchy air.
You know what? Whatever. You get bent out of shape about something.
So I've got some questions. They're not relevant to fitness. So this is a little bit more life. I'm just interested in everybody's viewpoint on this type of stuff. What's your view on drugs and alcohol? Have you ever dabbled? Like, what role does it play in your life? Maybe previously, now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's really a good question, actually. So I choose not to drink. I don't enjoy it. So I didn't actually.
Do you not drink at all, or is it just like?
I really don't. I mean, I don't drink at all.
When was the last time you drank? No. Do you remember?
Whenever we were all at the garage together last, I think.
Oh, geez. I mean that. I don't know when that was, but that
summer
would have been.
Maybe, or fall. I don't know.
It's a while.
Yeah, so it's been a while. I mean, like, I would say I maybe have a beer maybe once a year. I don't even know, actually.
Oh, okay. So,
but I really don't drink much at all. And
pretty much not at all.
Yeah. So I didn't drink until I was 21, and I do mean that. I never did. My parents didn't drink. My dad, like, was an alcoholic back in the day, way before I was born. And, like, so he doesn't drink. Mm-hmm. So I never was around it. And I remember, like, in high school when I went to, like, a party. But in my head, again, full transparency, I told you I'm just happy, optimistic. I was also an extremely innocent kid. Like, I didn't understand what other people were doing literally in life. Like, I remember I went to this party and they had alcohol, and I was like, what? And then I realized what it was. I was like, oh my God, like, you can't be doing this. I was like,
this is illegal.
Shocked. Yeah. I remember I was like traumatized, like, and that sounds so funny, but I was, because I just was never around it.
Yeah.
And
sheltered.
Very sheltered. And it's not like my parents purposely made me sheltered, just because they didn't do it. So
Sure.
I was never, and the rest of my family didn't do it. Yeah, like my grandparents didn't drink, no one drank. Like at Christmas and stuff, no one did. If they did, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so it freaked me out, honestly. Like the whole idea of it scared me. And then like knowing that I'm a lot like my dad. So I was like, once I learned kind of more about him, I'm like, well, I feel like I have the same type of tendencies that he does. So I'm like, what if I get into it and I like fall into those same footsteps?
Yep.
And so once I turned 21, I drank plenty, went out and all that stuff. And then I realized how much like, it just hit me one day of like, this isn't even fun. Like you waste 2 whole days technically, because you're like the next day you feel like crap. And like in the moment it seems like so much fun, but like you eat crap, I don't know. Like that's just my mindset it's not worth it to me.
Yeah.
And I don't like the feeling. I don't get anything good out of it. And I support everyone else that does it. Like I do. It's just not my thing.
Sure.
And drugs wise, I mean, of course, I've tried weed. That was and I did not like that either, because the idea of how anxious I got was horrible.
Oh, you got the paranoid?
Yes, really bad. So I was like, nope, I don't
like
need
you
to
were
be
just
doing
like,
that either.
what were you paranoid about? You don't even remember probably.
I don't even, I think, well, there was one time, can't believe I'm telling you guys this, but like
We're getting in deep.
I drank and I smoked once. This was in college. I tried to like impress this boy, I think, or some stupid shit.
Sure.
And I remember mixing those two together is not a great idea, and I had to learn, and I seriously thought I was gonna die. Like I really did. That was like the second time in my life I thought I was gonna die. And I was like, oh my God, like what do I do? Like I could not get it figured out, and I've never touched weed since, and that's been a few years. And then that really like scared the shit out of me, that I was like, okay, yep, you cannot be doing this stuff to think that it's like cool or trying to impress people, because you can't handle it, and 2, you don't even know what you're doing. Like, and I don't know, I didn't know what was going on. So it makes me too anxious, so I can't handle it.
That's so interesting. It's interesting to me that you knowing that your dad was a recovered alcoholic made you want to stay away from it. Mm-hmm. And my parents met in AA, and my mentality was, if they keep telling me it's bad, it must be awesome. And so I was like excited to drink. It's just weird how those two, and maybe were they ever telling you not to drink?
So my mom was totally like, don't do this stuff. My dad has never once told me not to do anything.
Yeah, maybe that's part of it.
He's always said like he would like give me advice of, maybe not the best idea, but he would never say don't do it. Sure. He's always said like, you'll figure it out. Like you try it, you'll figure it out. Yeah. And like and I've actually always appreciated that, because I think it honestly, from him telling me that, it's kind of opened my mind to be like, okay, well maybe it's not worth it, or or is it really something I want to try then? And he's like, he chews, I mean, to this day, but like, and he used to smoke, and like I've never been interested in either one of those at all. Yeah. But so it's just,
it's different now too. It's like those are now seen as gross habits. They're not nearly, I think generally they're not nearly as common.
Like everyone vapes. Yep. And that was actually something I got into in college, and that's when I learned I had very bad tendencies, because I got super addicted to it. Yeah. And it was like, and that was the hardest thing to really quit too. So to be honest with you,
it tastes good. It's like an oral fixation. Like, we joke that Matraca, like the reason that she has all her water bottles with her straws is like she's got an oral fixation thing. And
it might be from,
so that makes sense with the vape,
It could be, yeah, exactly. And so actually, I guess pulling this back around, when I finally quit vaping, because if any of you guys have had like bad habits like that in your life, like it's really hard to cut. Yeah. And once I did, I think it was an eye-opening to me of like, holy crap, like I can do like that. Like, it's hard. Like like you can like do hard things and cut things like that, but 2, it's eye-opening to be like, how scary is it that stuff like has such a hold on you? Yeah. That's what I think about, especially.
That when you first get off of it, all you can think about is like, man, I wish I had it right now.
Yes, and it's really scary. So I think that, then that goes with alcohol too for me, that I think that I've never been that way about alcohol, but I don't want to be. So,
Well, alcohol it's so easy to get hooked on it from a social perspective, that it's like if you spend your formative social years in high school and college drinking, and then you just, every time you go to do something social, you're like, oh, I can't be social.
Yeah. And I've had...
And for some people it's true, but...
I have friends like that, and I love all of them dearly, but like, that's always been something I've never understood, because I've always been the sober friend though anyways. Like, I want to make sure everyone gets home safe. I'm the one driving. Sure. Like, I'm handling... Like, even in college, we want to go to a party? Great, I'll drive us, and then I'll make sure we get home safe, And so I think that's always been a hard thing for me to relate to, and all my friends are like, well, I can't go out like that. Like, I need to drink. I need to, like, pregame or do whatever first. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm just so much of a, I don't care. I don't care if you're blasted drunk in front of me. I'll still talk to you and hang out with you.
Sure.
Like, whatever. I don't care. Maybe you might get annoying eventually, but, like, it doesn't bug me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy to go out and enjoy whatever anyone's doing.
That's a good perspective. I think there's a lot of people that when they quit drinking, they just say anybody who drinks is stupid.
Yeah, and
that's the wrong way to look at it, too.
No, because you used to do it, so don't judge people for doing it,
Yeah.
So, anyways, there's my cup of tea on that.
What about, I'm so interested in how everybody views money differently. How do you view money? What role does money play in your life? It's a tough question, but just
that is really hard.
roll on it.
I mean, I guess to be honest with you, I feel like I haven't fully gotten the grasp of what money is to me yet, because I'll be straight up, I'm a materialistic person, and if I want nice things, I'm going to get it. And,
Okay.
and obviously not like crazy expensive things, but I mean, like, I see money as like almost in a way sometimes of like, oh, I can treat myself to this. I worked hard, I earned it,
Sure.
So that's a goal I do have for myself, is to get more of a healthy relationship with money, because I don't think I have the healthiest.
What does that mean to you?
Like being comfortable. I would say I know everyone wants like financial freedom. I'm not even saying that. Just like full stability to where like if I want to go out and do something, I don't have to stress about like, oh, can I afford it? Like, oh, if my friends want to go out to somewhere, or like even go on a trip or something, like I don't want to be anxious about if I have enough money for it or not. Like, I want to be comfortable and like not have to worry.
Where you kind of are like almost regretting your decision to have fun, so it dampens the amount of fun you have because you're like anxious that it's going to have a negative effect.
Totally.
It's like you're second guessing your decisions all the time.
Yes. Yeah. So I would say that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not perfect with it by any means, and Wes could tell you that too. But so it's something I hope to improve on.
Yeah. What about like in the future? Like, do you care whether you have a lot of money or not?
I definitely do, because I think financial freedom would be like a very helpful thing, just because obviously I've never felt that before. I'm 25, but like I think that would be a great thing to feel, like just not be stressed about it, because it's as I've gotten older, like it shocks me of how much like money can really stress you out. Like, it's like an added stressor that you don't need.
Yeah.
So
here will be the interesting thing. So what number do you think that is? If you actually had to throw out a number and you said, I assume that I will be secure and comfortable and not have to worry about those things, at what number? Like a yearly salary type of thing.
Oh God, I don't know. I have no idea.
I know I'm putting you on the spot. This is more for my learning. I'm interested to see how everybody thinks about this stuff.
All right, are you gonna pay me that much? I'm just kidding.
What's up? Well, I mean, maybe. Set your future.
Okay, well, how about, no, I'm just kidding. I don't even know, to be honest with you. Anything like, let's just go to like a 100K. Let's just say that.
There you go. Nice round number.
Just for me, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I did a lot of looking into this this is years ago. Me and Tara were both kind of stressed out working our jobs in Denver, and we're like, man, Denver's an expensive city. We definitely have to keep up this dual income situation because the housing's expensive, everything's expensive. I started looking into like money and happiness research. And I'm sure it's changed now with inflation and everything, but they show that around that 70 to 75,000 mark, most people's like happiness peaks, and then happiness itself, like however you want to define that, but happiness doesn't necessarily increase very much after that. And so it's like from earning 40,000 a year to 75,000 a year, it's like a drastic increase in happiness, probably because of the security thing that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's kind of fluff on top or something like that. Obviously, that depends on your spending habits and everything like that.
For sure. Well, people always say like, just because like money doesn't always make you happy, and I know people say, and honestly, I do think that's probably very true, because think about all these famous people, like half those people aren't happy, and they have anything they could ever want, and money and all the money in the freaking world, but like I think there's a point to that. So I guess I would never want to be someone that's like, this like that. Like, I want to be secure but still be like happy, and instead of like, I don't want it to control my life. How about that?
Sure. Yeah, there's a certain amount of sacrifice you would have to make to get to those levels that maybe would take away from your day-to-day happiness that maybe isn't worth it.
Yes, totally.
I don't know. Like, it's that security thing, right? It's the same thing as food. It's like, as long as you know there's going to be food in your fridge, then you don't have to worry about it day to day.
Yes.
And that'd be nice to. I think it's Brian Callen. I just heard a podcast clip sometime, but he has this framework where it's like the peak of money happiness is where like you can go out and eat a dinner Like, say you go out to steak dinner and you don't have to worry about what it costs. And like, obviously you could go crazy with that. There's some restaurants that are insane, but if you can go to a regular, let's say anywhere in River Falls, and you can go order whatever dinner and you're going to get yourself full and you can have all the bells and whistles, and you didn't worry that it was going to break your bank account, that'd be pretty good mental for you.
Yeah, that's a really good, like that. Yeah, that's actual perfect comparison. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome.
Maybe I just need to cut off on getting shoes or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. You do you. Everybody's money is different. Cool. If you weren't in fitness, what do you think you'd be doing?
I actually think about this a lot.
Are you trying to tell me something?
No, like I don't. I just think of like where I would be, you know. I always wanted to be like, besides a mechanic, I wanted to be a gym teacher or like a physical education teacher. I think that'd be super fun, like, because that was my favorite class in school.
Sure.
But I
could totally see you running around with the whistle, just psyched.
Yeah. I'd be
hyping up kids.
I'd be doing the games with the kids.
Yeah.
That'd be so much fun.
Just smashing kids in dodgeball.
Yeah, or beating them in the mile.
Suck it, Timmy.
Yeah. I would say that, or what else did I always, like, there was a point in time where I wanted to be like a shoe designer for like Nike, like specifically like sneakers.
That's cool.
Or a like head track coach in Nebraska. That was like my big dream, I remember, for the longest time.
Yeah.
So I know those are like very like not super easy jobs, but I'm saying like that would be like that's something where I think I could see myself somewhere like that.
Sure. That's interesting because it seems like your desired jobs actually follow your passion. You know, so you're like, oh, I love shoes. I would love to be a shoe designer. I love gym and fitness and happy kids and energy, and so I want to be a gym teacher.
So nothing really comes out of fitness besides the shoes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Be cool.
That's cool. Let's see here. If you were to give one piece of advice to somebody who wanted to do the job you do, they wanted to be successful in fitness coaching, appear on podcast, they're an aspiring trainer, and they're like, how the hell do I get as good as Matraca? What are you going to tell them?
That's a great question. Honestly, I would say just authentically be yourself. Like, just be confident in what you're doing. Be you. That's, I think, the best way to get, because people, especially in this job or in this setting, want to know you for you, and they don't want to be around anybody that's acting like they're someone they're not.
Sure.
So I would say just simply be you. Don't act like you're anyone else, and have fun with it. Like, be open to learning and be excited every day of what's to come, because not every day is the same, and I think that's what I love so much about this job too.
Yeah. How have you been able to cultivate the be yourself mentality? It's hard. I think it's one of the hardest things.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just for me. Maybe that's been easy for you. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't want to say it's been easy for me, but I think I've always in my head just been myself, because I'm like, well, I do like me, so I'm like, whatever, I'll act however, and if you don't like me, I was a people pleaser for so much of my life that finally one day it hit me that it's like, what am I getting out of this?
Yeah.
You know? So
what do you mean by that? Can you dig into that a little bit?
Sure. Definitely wanted to be like liked by everyone.
When was this?
Probably more high school, middle school, high school, and you're kind of learning who you are. And there was times where, you know, like I can even think about in class, for example, when like the teacher asks something and you either raise your hand to be in the group of people that are all raising their hand, or like they ask another question, like two people raise their hand. You never want to be those two people. You know, you always want to fit in with everybody else, fit in with the crowd, you know? And it hit me one day that it's like, what's the fun in that? Like we're all so individual. You want to stand out and be yourself. And I've just decided finally that I don't want to be like everyone else. I want to be Matraca.
Sure. Was there anything that fueled that decision, or was just...
I think it just one day it just hit me, because and I think it's just like honestly just listening to like podcasts and things. I like pay attention to. People say so much of like dig into like yourself, but like a lot of people don't actually do that. So once I finally thought of like, okay, let's just be me, I've learned the right people have came around of like my friends, and like it's weeded out like people that I don't need in my life. But two, it also like made me realize like what really matters to me and like who I am and like what fills my cup.
Yeah.
So
that's tough, because like just general, I'm a big believer that our school system, you know, that whole meritocracy base, that where it's like you get rewarded for being the kid with good grades, you get rewarded, like people get attendance awards, they get awards for good grades, and they get, you know, discipline for being disobedient or different in a way. And so you get so many years of that that it's really hard to start peeling back the layers of, well, how many things do I do on a daily basis, or how many decisions have I made in life that were actually fueled about making that kind of general model happy instead of what's actually like making me happy.
Yeah.
Which is really hard, or it's easy to get confused, I think, because it's like, well, if everybody else is happy with me, then I must be good. But then you could also be like feel very hollow on the inside, and it doesn't maybe eat at you until you're 45 years old, and that would suck.
Yes. Well, because I grew up like my mom would talk about it even like to this day, that like she was that person, like always being for everyone else and never speaking up and always taking care. And one day I have to just quickly tell you this, it's funny.
Please.
But one day we it changed for her, and I was with her the day it changed. We were at Walmart of all places. I was like 12, and this woman was like messing with this cashier. She like kept on sending her kids back to get more shit and coming back, and the cashier's like, I need to continue my line going. Like, you should have had all your stuff up here. Like, why are you still? And the lady's like being really mean to the cashier and like yelling at her and stuff. Like, you need to wait. Like, my kids are coming back with stuff. Like, I don't care about these people behind you, never. And and my mom was like, just like, I could tell she was getting so like pissed about it. And all of a sudden she finally like looks at her and she goes, hey, she goes, you should have had your shit together when you came up here the first time. She goes, it's not her fault you didn't have your stuff. And I remember the lady like turned to my mom and she's like, F you, and starts like flicking off my mom and like blah, blah, blah. And like she checks out all of her stuff and my mom's just like, ugh. And then so we get out and then she finally like looks at me and she's like, oh my God. And I was embarrassed at the time because I was like, because I was in that spot.
Yep.
Yeah, like why would you say that? Like, oh my gosh. And she was like, oh, this lady's going to find me and beat me up in the parking lot. You know, we never saw her or anything. But after that, it changed where she's like, no. She's like, I'm going to, like, do what feels good for me. And, like, I'm not going to, and also, like, don't mess with other people like that, you know? Like, so she's very much more of, like, she stands up for things. She's not afraid to say things. And that's, like, now, she learned that in, her late 40s.
Yeah.
And that, like, now I think, too, seeing her get that transition has really, like, opened up my eyes, too, I'd say, in a way. So, yeah. It's a funny story.
That's really cool because your mom, having met her a few times, I could have a hard time imagining seeing her do that.
Yeah.
Being like assertive and loud, because she is. She's a little bit more quiet and reserved, at least when I've met her.
Yep.
Not that she doesn't speak or anything, but just...
She's very sweet, wouldn't like cause scene even.
And that's extremely important because I think assertiveness often gets seen as a negative thing or as bossy or as cruel. Whereas if you, the only way to fight against the bossy, cruel, assertive type of people is to be positively assertive. And you need to be like, we need both sides.
Yeah.
And so,
for sure.
Like that's a complete superpower.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she felt so empowered after that I think if there's anything for somebody, if they are feeling lack of assertiveness, and you dealt with this when you first started at the gym, but it's like you're so scared, and then when you finally do it, there's just like this sense of pride that wells up in you, and you also realize that nothing bad happened. And so if you've never done this before, you should just do it, because like your life's not going to end, which is what you kind of think in your head when you're like, everybody's going to hate me and I'm going to die somehow. You know, it's completely irrational. But like, do it, and you'll know after you do it whether it was the right thing to do, and then you learn and you move on.
For sure.
Yeah.
So.
What's we got to finish up pretty quick, but I want to get 2 more questions in for you. Fitness wise, is there any fitness goals that you want to achieve in the next 2 years that you want to share with everybody?
Yeah. Well, there's something I guess I've always wanted is and you hear me say this all the time, is I want abs, and I know that's such a what's the word, like view, or what's what I'm thinking of.
Narcissistic. No, I'm just kidding. Vanity type of metric.
Yeah. Like a vanity thing.
Yeah, and I know what word you're thinking of, but I can't think of it either.
Yep. It's really gonna bug me. And I think it's just for myself to see if I could actually do it, because I'd be curious. Because I've always thought it was really neat to see, well, men and women like have abs. I'm like, dang, like I wonder if I could ever do that, you know? Two, I think I just want to continue to just get stronger. Like I want to see how much more muscle I can get on my body.
Yeah. What does that mean? What does that look like for you?
Yeah.
Like, are you like a women's bodybuilder?
No, I think that would be cool. Who knows? Maybe I'd change my mind on that. But I don't know how disciplined I could be for that. For sure my legs and my arms. I definitely want like bigger, stronger arms. And I think that, I just think when you see women like Jamie Gogowski, what's up, girl? Like the arms, like that's super awesome, you know? So I'd say that'd be my thing. Otherwise, just continuing to have a healthy relationship with food, I'd say is another piece.
You got any competitions coming up?
Deadlift competition.
What? How much are you gonna lift?
How about that? 315 we're gonna go for.
Awesome.
Wouldn't that be cool? I could I did 250 last year. I think it'd be cool to get more than that. I want to try to run with the big dogs a little bit, you know.
Hell yeah. Well, three bills. That's a good little threshold there.
Yeah.
What about personal goals? Any personal goals, life goals that you want to accomplish in the next couple of years that you'd like to share?
That's a good question. Maybe get married.
Whoa!
No, I think it'd be fun. But it'd be sorry, West.
Poor West.
No. I'd say the next few years is I don't really have anything crazy. I would like to move. So whether that's, I don't know if that's buying a house but just getting a bigger space for myself, I think would be really fun, and just make a place my home. No matter if it's a new apartment or if it's a new, whatever, if we're renting, whatever it might be. I know that's random, but that's just like, I would love to just have a place feel more like my home.
Yep. No, I think you're right on that. There's a huge difference, just having done both now, between decorating an apartment and making it your own, and like that's great, and you can make it feel like home from spending time there. But when you have a house that you own and you start to make improvements to it that are kind of like semi-permanent, or as you start to, I've told you this, when I look around the gym and even when I look around different homes, like this house we've only had for a year, but when we lived in Arizona for several years, by the time we left, I looked around that house and it was like the amount of things that I had changed and we had decided on, and like we had redone the whole backyard, and there's such a fulfilling sense of ownership to that you don't get in the apartment sometimes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm psyched for you on that. I think it's a really cool feeling when you actually put like time and effort into something over a number of years.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, Matraca, this was awesome. Is there any other last things you want to say to people before you tell them how to find you?
I don't think so. I hope you learned a thing or two, I would say. But I'd say just truthfully, as we've talked about, just don't be afraid to be yourself. That's the best thing I can tell you. And if people don't like it, screw them. The right people will like it.
And you will say that sometimes. If I say, I don't think they'll like that, you're like, well, screw them.
Yeah. Point blank period.
Where can people find you?
You can find me at Matraca Fit, MatracaFit, on Instagram. And actually, wait a second. Let me add one more thing.
Go for it.
You guys probably wonder where my name's from. Maybe. If anybody knows the song Strawberry Wine by Deanna Carter.
Okay.
The songwriter's name is Matraca Berg. Look it up. It's real. She spells it just like me, or I spell it just like hers, I guess. And that's, my dad found that and heard it on the radio one day and was like, I want my daughter to be Matraca, and here I am. Yeah. So if there's anybody watching that's named Matraca, please let me know, because I still have never met another one.
Oh, that's cool. Never?
Never.
Oh, awesome. You guys can find me at Nick __ at Nick NICK _ Byom BYOM. That's on Instagram. You can find most of our gym stuff at Strength Academy RF on Instagram. Stet, we just started a new TikTok account. What is it? You can just tell me. Okay, at Strength 101 Podcast. So all the podcast clips, you can go find those if you want to see the audio and video mixed on TikTok at Strength 101 Podcast. You can also find us at Strength Academy 101 on YouTube. And that's it. Woo! This was Strength 101. Peace out.